Well, hello, and welcome back. I'm A.J. O'Neill. I'm wearing my Beyond Code shirt, but this is not really a Beyond Code video. This is just me working at work. So I'm going to pop a top and get to work. I've got a couple of bugs I need to go through. In fact, I probably should have the other computer here because I've got some notes on there. But I'm probably going to do an hour or two working through a couple of bugs, and then there's some features I want to implement that I think I'll maybe stop and do another video. I've got comments open or live chat open both on Twitch and on YouTube, so check that out if you want to comment, and I'm just going to go do what I need to do and try to keep all the proprietary information off the screen, I guess. So first thing that I need to do, actually I'm going to take off the headphones because I'm not really using the headphones. They just keep my ears warm and make me feel better. I've got, let's see, let me just go ahead and run the test and see where they're at right now. Okay. Because I added a new test because there was a new bug. Alright, and now over here on the other screen, I've got the error output. Oh yeah, I know what this is. Yep, I remember. I remember where I'm at here. So I have to go track down. This kind of stinks because basically I don't have a call stack. Let me see if I can show this to you. Yeah. So I can show this part on this screen anyway. So basically there's a call stack that ends in task queue. And it's never good when your call stack ends in task queue because that means you have no idea where it came from. It also means that there's probably a set timeout or something like that that shouldn't exist, should be converted. I don't know. The general area of where this is coming from, I do know though, from the error report and from in the log, let me go back over here, it does say an account storage token. So I think there's multiple things under API unlisted that are not going well. So I think what I need to do is unlisted. I think I need to go find out if things are in the place that they ought to be in. And by things, I mean if the routes are listed properly. Because basically all of the unlisted routes should have the same authentication method. I've been segmenting things out, so everything that doesn't need authentication is prefixed with public. Everything that does, well, there's a couple different ways that can be handled currently, but I'm trying to get them into concise, everything that is handled for just an individual user is under /user. Everything that's handled for an account that a user could have many accounts goes under account. So based on the prefix of the route, we know what the authentication strategy is. But this one is probably the least well defined. I'm going to go take a poke in this file before I show it on the screen because I don't know what's in there. That's one that I've touched, but I haven't touched much. And I would not be surprised if there's something in there that I don't want to be showing on the screen. So let me just kind of take a look over here. All right, it's just importing form stuff, errors. Okay, yeah, I can show this on the screen. I'll show this over here. Just one second. I'll just copy that over. Okay, well, hello, welcome. I'm just working on work stuff. So in here, I do want to just better understand what this is. The name of it doesn't quite make much sense. Move this to a cookie, that seems appropriate. Maybe, I don't know. Access code. Oh, I probably wrote that comment. But this is access code. But we don't want that. Oh, yeah, these are old access code stuffs. I gotta think on this one. So if there's not an access code, then we want to check to see. So this isn't really so much an unlisted endpoint as it is that it requires well, we'll see. If there's no access code and there's no user, then you're unauthorized. Okay, that makes sense. And we don't actually need that anymore. No, that's sufficient. So we have all of our errors together in one place. And so we just require the errors and then put in a string for what the error should be populated with and then potentially override it. Okay, so we're going to find the access code outsideness. Let's see. Oof. Yeah, I wonder what that outside... Okay, outside form, account ID. Yeah. Alright, so I think the problem could actually be happening right here. If not access code and not rec user. So this is going to try to find an access... I bet this is it right here. Now, why this would trigger an error in that way, I don't quite understand, because we've got an await here. This is an async function. This is going into the async router. So this should actually bubble back up to this file. I'm going to look over the error message again and see. I'll bring the error message over. Here we go. Oops. Maybe I need. I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm gonna make another thing here, and I'm going to there we go, put the error message up, and then I'm going to make it smaller, so you are not going to be able to read it if you're not looking at this full screen, but at least it will be visible. And I'll just bring this up as necessary. So I just want to take a look again. Where is this going through? Node modules, node modules, node modules. Yeah, it doesn't look like it ever resolves back to where it's really happening, which is kind of maybe an indicator that this isn't the place. But what I do notice is it is possible to not have an access code and to get to the place where we're trying to find an access code, which would cause this error that we're seeing, which is undefined passed as a property in argument 0 for where operation, because the find one eventually calls where, and so I think that's what this could be. So I'm just going to try changing that, but I'm not 100% sure what this should be. I don't know. And also I want this access code stuff should change, but I got to get more information on what this means. Alright, yeah. So if the referrer had an access code, we're keeping... Yeah, I actually want to redesign this a little bit anyway. Because essentially, if somebody has an access code in the referrer or in the query, I want them, whatever they did to get the access code, this is future thinking, but I want them to come to a place where it asks them to sign in if they're not signed in. Because even if somebody has access to something via an access code, we want to at least get their email and verify that they are who they say they are, so that we know if somebody's giving a share link out, the share link out goes to the right person. Because most of the time we don't want share links going out that are just to anybody. We want them going out to specific people, or we want to know who they are, because these links are to documents that we want to know who's seen the document, or our customers want to know who has seen the document. So that one, let's see. anytime that there's a regex, unless it's super obvious, which of course that can mean different things to different people, I recommend putting a comment above it giving an example of what will match and what won't match. So let me look at this. So this is going to match, let me just see here. This is going to match on something that is blah outside form slash not question mark anything that's not a question mark foo slash bar question mark baz equals. So what I'm expecting to happen here is that it is going to match all of this. And indeed, that is what it matches. So if that is the match, we want to get access code is element 2. That would be the slash part. Okay. So I'm just going to put a comment in here as to how it currently behaves. All right. Evil outside form slash foo slash bar baz equals kooks will become foo bar, I think is what that was saying. Yep. And evil form slash foo bar will become foo bar. What we probably want in here is some sort of delimiter. And we do want to, if we grant basically a guest user, we do want to track them in some way. But I'm not quite sure. This seems kind of strange to me, because it's handling both refers, meaning links that go outside in. So I think this is actually kind of doing two different things. Hey Nick, how's it going? This project, this is for work. We have a system of record platform that is for legal transactions and formation, entity formation, stuff that growth stage businesses do, basically documents that growth stage businesses do, and the type of transactions that they have with investors and stuff like that. So we one of the things we're working on now is it's been a get the features done kind of thing, and one of the things we're working on now is really enhancing the security of it. And so even though this is not related to the bug that I need to fix, I'm taking the time to really understand this code, because this is code that I've kind of glossed over before. But at this stage, we're really trying to take a different approach of how do we isolate things and make them more like better gatekeeping, fewer gatekeepers, fewer points of failure. And so right here, it looks like what we have is two completely different mechanisms that were kind of thrown into one because they have a similar capability. And so I'm just kind of musing over it. So, okay. But to fix the bug, I don't understand what all of the implications of this are. Because it looks like we're checking for rec.user. And I guess what this ultimately is doing is it's adding more things to the user. In particular, if the user is fully signed in. They've gone, just like with YouTube or Google, you can sign in, but then it presents you with a list of accounts, and it says, well, on what, on YouTube, it's like, which channel are you acting as? Or on Facebook, which page are you acting as? We have the same kind of thing. So you might have multiple businesses you work with, and you have this account ID that's part of the token that's issued for that login process. So allowed features, form, access code. Yeah. I think anything that's doing a post here where there's a rec.body, any of that is probably our own stuff that we can figure out where to fix it. I'm going to do a quick search over on my other screen for access_code with a colon and see if I can see where this is set up. And now I'm going to try with a dot and a colon to catch any places where there's a quote. Okay, I see the find one. And I see one place where we might be access code. Okay, that is where we get it from the URL. I don't see any places where we get it from the body. I'm going to send a message over and ask where we're getting it from the body. If this is something that's a third-party integration that we're exporting, or if this is old code. I don't know. Okay, got a buddy just asked me for a ride to the airport. Or from the airport rather. And we're gonna see here. I'm just gonna ask coworker. Let me copy this snippet of code over here. In what cases do we receive an access code in a post body? I don't see access code. Oh wait, there's one other thing I should check for. Before I bug somebody. I checked access code colon. I did not check access code equals. So let's check that. Access code equals data access code, access code, access code. Again, it looks like it's coming this way, not going that way. But here's one area. Data access code, access. Nope, I don't see anywhere where it looks like just at a glance. Oops. And I guess I need to tag 2 people in this because it could be front end or back end. Oops. Oh, dang it. Come on, select the right character. Okay. So the bug, Nick asks, what's the bug? There's a couple of bugs because I've been changing around the way the authentication works. And so there's places where things are failing because objects that used to have more properties on them are being constrained to have fewer properties on them. But the error that I'm actually trying to find is, let me bring this back up on the screen here, is this undefined passed as a property and argument 0 for where operation. And unfortunately, all of the stack ends inside of the library. It doesn't make it out to this code, which seems a little bit strange to me, because that would be indicative that there's a set timeout or a set immediate or something like that somewhere. But I think this could be it, because find one is going to call where, and access code, I can see right here that we have the possibility of an access code not being defined. So in fact, I could probably simplify this by putting this here, and then this would be logically more clear. And this is one of the reasons, I mean, in some cases it makes a lot of sense to have multiple if statements. It makes a lot of sense to denest if statements. In this particular case, because this seems like the kind of way that I would have wrote it initially, maybe. But in this particular case, once we refactor this to move this in here, because it was saying if not access code and not user, well, we already have an if not access code right here. So once we put in that in there, it's even more clear, like, okay, if there's not an access code, we handle this. If there's not a user, meaning the person's not signed in, then we handle it. But then we go on and we go to try to find something. And obviously this is not going to work. So I almost want to say, let's see. Yeah, I mean, that looks right, I guess. But if not access code, then it seems like we should next. The only thing I'm not sure about that is, I guess that means there's a user, so they're logged in. So that means that the access code potentially gives them a user object that is essentially a guest object. There is no user ID, but they may have the ability to view something. So they might have access to be able to query something about an account as a guest, but they're not given a role on that account as an owner, so they won't be able to access anything that's sensitive, but they might be able to view the same type of information that a non-owner, non-admin on the account would be able to view by virtue of this access code. So I think that it's fairly safe to just next and return here. It certainly is not safe to continue on if they don't have an access code to try to give them additional privileges, because if this were not configured correctly, the where query would be empty, and so then it would go find the first record. Who knows what that record would be, and then we would be looking up that information based on that first record, whatever the first record happens to be, and then we would be giving, so then just anybody would get access to stuff. Thankfully, the way that this library is designed is to prevent just that type of error, and so you get an undefined passed in as property. So that right there could be exactly the problem. This could be exactly the fix. Hello and welcome. Nice of you to join in. Feel free to ask questions. I'm just going through work code. Okay, so that's my first guess as to where the problem is. So I'm going to go ahead and restart the server, and I'm going to rerun some tests. And let's see if we get the same error. We do get the same error here, which is fine. Well, this might be a different error. Let me scroll back up. Let me see if I can scroll back up far enough. No, I can't scroll back far enough. I think this could be a different error. Failed to find user. So let me go check over and see here. Huh, well that's kind of odd. Failed to find user. It's also kind of odd because we're getting back a 500 here, but if we go look at the errors that are coming out here, this is 404. So generally speaking, the way that I designed the error handling is if it's populated with the important information that we want, like it has an error code, it has a message. If it's populated, usually that's supposed to propagate out here. So what this is telling me is that the error is being thrown twice. So that's another clue. So at this point, I think I do need to go look specifically into the place where this is happening. And I think the index area here is safe for me to show on screen. So token. I think I was doing a get in the test. Let me go check the test real quick. Let's see what we're doing here. That's okay. This one should be the one that's. This is the test that's failing, and both of these are failing. So I know that there's something in common between them, maybe. But let me go try to find, yeah, so it's the get. Let's see if we can figure out what's common between these two. Well, really I just need to figure out if I can fix the one first, because what's common between them could be a red herring. But there is something common between them, so that's why it led me to think, okay, well, they're both under the unlisted. Maybe I should check that first. And I probably should do a console.log in there just to make sure. Let's go look. So this is line 176. Let me make sure the unlisted handler is up way above. And it is, and we shouldn't have, yeah. So this is the first unlisted route is right here. And the first thing that we do with it is to attach the handler that we just looked at. So I could go look at our get token in storage. Let me find out where storage is. Storage is account storage. So I'm just going to put a console.log in here, just to see, am I actually getting to this file, or is it actually still somewhere in here? I think that I am. I think I am actually getting to that file, which is a little bit sad because it means that there's two problems, not one. But let's see. So account storage and our get token. Our get token. Here we are. Ah, and here's the problem in part. We are so I'm refactoring the code. If you've watched the video on the Express, I'll just pull it up real quick. Hold on. Async router Express root. Let me just, and I'll post this in the chat for your consumption. So if you haven't watched this video, I highly recommend that you do. If you are a node coder and you deal with Express, which you do, because either you are far enough along that you have decided to use something other than Express, or you're still in a juniorish position where you're using Express, or you just don't care about the new and fancy things or about having clean code and you use Express. But if you are using Express, that video on async router is going to be the most important video that you ever watch. So what we're doing in everybody's code I see looks like this. This just seems standard across the industry right now. And this is just bad. But we've got this, and so we're rethrowing errors, and we're handling them rather than using Express error handling to handle them. We're handling them every single one as a one-off. And then we're changing the status of the error here, because this was just a bug, I think, because this should have the error here should have been passed down here, but for some reason it wasn't. So I'm just going to knock that out. And because we're using async router, all of the errors get handled properly. And I'm just going to go ahead. I'm not going to dig too far down in this file because this is one of the files where I think we still have some hard-coded stuff that we need to remove. But I will go as far as to clean this up. Actually, I'm gonna check in my other screen if there are hard-coded values in here that I should not display publicly. Let's see. Oh, no, this file is actually really short. I think I tried to fix all the places where I found hard-coded access tokens in the code, so they're now all out in environment variables. And then the way that the updated error handling works, because there was some additional potentially valuable information in this error getting folder, for example, which is just reduplicated because of this here, whatever. But the way that it works now in our server-side logging, we get the method and the URL path. So let me go back over here. So you can see where there's an error. No, you can't see it because it's a 400 level error. And this was not the same error handler. But because 400 level errors are errors where we know what the error is. It's the uncaught errors. We print out the path. Well, also that this error handling hadn't been updated. Now it's updated. Well, and I can get rid of this because we don't need this. We just do throw errors.create, and we created our own custom res.error, but that was just because we were ignorant of the proper express error handling at the time. Well, even like I was myself, so we had some really bad error handling, embarrassingly bad error handling, just because it's gone through many people and we hadn't had time to slow down and clean up. But anyway, so now that everything's going through the express error handling, we're moving everything towards the express error handling. If it goes through the express error handling, the method and the URL get appended in the error that goes out. And so when that happens, we know, we got a pretty good idea to hone in where it came from. People are willing to accept my messy code, but not willing to monkey patch app.use to be async safe. You don't have to monkey patch it. That's part of the beauty of the async router module is you're not doing any monkey patching. It's clean. It's a clean wrap. And it's a clean drop-in replacement. If you've got people that are pushing back on that, just do it anyway. Seriously. If they are so ignorant that they cannot look at that, was it 50 lines of code and see that adding await and try catch to express, like if they don't have a better solution and they're so ignorant that they can't understand it, and I mean ignorant in the true sense of not having the level of knowledge, not having yet acquired the level of knowledge, then just do it anyway, because they're not well educated and well informed enough to make the decision or notice the difference, right? It'll just work better. Now, granted, you might have to monkey patch it in if you want to get it in a way where they don't notice you putting it in, but just do it. Like, there's a lot of things that just, if you've got commit access and it doesn't require 3 reviewers, just do it. They're not going to notice, right? Like, their code's not going to break. They're not going to have to do anything different. It's just going to start working. Errors that were being uncaught will suddenly be caught. And on that note, this is something I should probably include. I don't think I had it in that video, or maybe I did. No, I didn't have it in that video. But here's something that you should have in every single one of your Node apps. Process on unhandled promise rejection warning. process on, unhandled rejection, process on, uncaught exception. Now, granted, if anything goes in here, it's because your program is bad. Like, it is literally, your program is incorrect. It is not a good program if any of these fire. However, we all make mistakes. We all forget to put an await in front of something. We all need something to be in a 5-second timeout because some API is going to take a little longer to process, but we don't get a webhook to know when it's going to be processed, or the webhook process is really complicated or whatever, you know, and so we have to deal with unideal situations. But when you put this in there, it's going to give you the ability to keep your server up from and not have to restart from stupid things, and give you the ability to log it and flag it and say, hey, this isn't just any old error. This is an error that is a sneaky error that we don't know where it came from and where it's going. Anyway, let me just double check this real quick. It was just these 4 things. And actually, I prefer to do this. I'm going to flippy flop this because I prefer that. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense right there to me. So if we're doing res, and res.result is something that that would be a monkey patch. Res.result and res.error, like we're doing, those are monkey patches. Kind of, yeah, they're monkey patches because we just modify the object. There's not really any documentation that we did it. It's our own custom thing. It's not in the module. It's just a way for us to add some metadata rather than calling res.json. It's a way for us to guarantee that we have some of the same metadata in every request. And I could show you that too if you're interested. Okay, anyway, I feel good about this. I'm going to go ahead and restart and rerun the test because this at least is going to get the error to hone into a better place. The error had dropped some of its stack, and that's because we were catching it and then recreating it and rethrowing it. So if nothing else, I should at least get a better stack trace now. So I'm going to go ahead, restart the service, run the test, and we still get the error. Oh, no. This error is I ran the test too quickly. The service hadn't finished starting yet. Okay, now... Okay, this is progress of some sort. It took longer. I don't know why. We get a better error message. Okay. And I'm just going to decode this. When you need to decode on the command line, the tool to use is key pairs. You can Webby key pairs. If you don't have Webby, webinstall.dev. So you can get key pairs, and then if it's a token that you don't want to be saved in history, these are all dev tokens, debug stuff, so it doesn't matter. But you can do key pairs, inspect, and then just paste it, and then it will go inspect it and tell you if well, it'll show you the details of the token and then tell you whether or not it's valid. If it's using properly spec'd OIDC, which a lot of tokens aren't, but a lot are. But in any case, I'll decode it for you. Interesting. Okay. Well, this does have an account ID on it. Okay. So let me go look at the test again and see what I can understand from the test. And I'll come over here. See what we got. Yes, thumbs up appreciated. Thank you. If you like it, if you like what you like, you get more of what you like. Okay, so in the test, what am I looking for? I mean, nothing. I'm literally just saying, hey, give me the stuff. Okay, so let me go back into that file again and take a closer look at it, because I was just kind of only looking at, oh, the error's messed up here. All right, rec.accountID. So this is going to be messed up all over the place because I don't think I changed that. I'm going to go do a search over here for rec.accountID. This is fine. Let's see. Are we looking at dozens or hundreds? We are looking closer to hundreds. All right. So there are many, 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 many places where rec.accountID is used. Okay, this is cool. This is going to be a little bit of a process, but it's going to be all right. And this makes sense because get account by ID, it comes from account. By the way, I really don't like this style here. And again, this is one of those things where I don't blame the individuals who are doing it because it's what they've been taught and they're either just not focused on the architecture side of things or they haven't learned better. But this is something that is unique to the JavaScript community. You get a lot of what we call stuttering. So it's from account, and then it's called get account. So let me show what this should look like, kind of, sort of. Okay, so let's say we're going to use account, and then it would be account.get account by ID. So that's stuttering because it's account get account. Of course, it's get account. It should just be account get by ID. And then you get stuff like this, you know, where it's. And I think the reason this started because somebody BS'd a conference talk where they said that if you did this, your code would run faster or that it would build better, which is completely bogus because Ryan and I have tested this out. And it turns out that if you're using Webpack with imports and all the latest stuff that's supposed to give you tree shaking and all those features, your Webpack size ends up being bigger than if you just did it the old way where you do a require and call things by their name that makes it easy to look up. You know, I don't like ending up with all these names that just are kind of nonsense names. Just call the thing, group things by their objects. Don't export 1,000 get account functions. Export an account object and have a get by ID function. Anyway, that's kind of beside the point. But also, to me, when I read this, it looks like, oh, I'm going to find get account by ID here in this file, right? Because it looks like it's private to this file, or maybe private's not the right word, but no, it's out in another file. It's been exported. So it's also just a signal to the reader. It would be super clear if it was account.get by ID or accounts.get by ID. That would be super clear. Oh, this is from the account package. You know, it's just easier to read. It's easier to grep. It's just easier. Anyway, yeah, so box ID, I got to figure out where box ID comes from too. Oh gosh, I got a tool that at some point you may see me use that I love in the rare occasion that I need it, called Comey. Comey is like the best way to refactor code. It is insane. It's like regular expressions for code on steroids because you don't really have to do the regular expressions that much. You get to write really simple pattern matching, and it understands code. So it understands a function where it opens, where it closes. Or, you know, regex doesn't understand that type of stuff, but it understands code. And so you create these patterns, and you can say, okay, go through my code and find all of the places where there's a function that has this line at the top of it, and then you can rewrite that line. It's amazing. I don't think I'm going to need to use it right now, but it is a thing that that happens. Anyway, what do we need to do next? Oh yeah, I was going to look and see. So that gets account box ID. So it's not rec box ID. But what we're going to do real quick, I'm going to show you SD. SD is magical. Oh, I don't have it in my history? How odd. Let's see. Which shell am I in right now? I'm in bash. Let me go to fish. See, it didn't change. Oh, what? I'm confused. How would I know if it... Oh, of course it's fish. It's got colors and stuff, and the autocomplete is nice. Yes, we're definitely in fish. So I'm just kind of surprised I don't have it in my history. Anyway, this is kind of a pain in the butt to do because I have to do it the way that I have to do it. But we're going to replace all instances of rec.accountID across all of the code base with rec.user.accountID. And I'm just going to do, let's put it in string mode because it doesn't need to do regex matching on the dot, and I don't want to put all the escapes for everything. But here's what we do. I don't know how many layers deep the code is. I need to just save this somewhere in a way that I can easily use it over and over again. Let's see, we're up to 3. I think I get up to 4 or 5 layers deep, which, by the way, keep things flat. If your code base is 4 or 5 layers deep, probably could use a little bit of re-architecting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. Okay, good. So this is, our code base goes 4 layers deep. Ba-da-da-da! And I need utils replace all.sh. And really what I want to do here is I want to have a way to pass in, I guess it would be like this. No, I don't want the quotes around that. I just need quotes around this. Yeah. There we go. This is one of the benefits of doing stuff streaming is I remember because I want to show tips. I want to show like, here's how you optimize your workflow. And then I remember like, I should optimize my workflow because this is annoying and I shouldn't do things that are annoying. If something's annoying, I should write a little 3-line script and then I don't have to be annoyed by it and I save myself time. And then I've documented how something can be done. Which reminds me, I totally forgot. I told one of my coworkers I was going to give him a little snippet to verify key pairs. Okay, yeah, I heard back from my coworker. He sent me a message like 5 minutes later. Let's see. So he says, yeah, we do currently use the access code in the body, and so that must be something. How does that come about? The front end gets it in a query parameter. Or something like that. Where does it originate? In an email? I'm going to say originate because we're programmers. We have to be precise from the user's journey. From the receiving user's point of view. Not point of view per se. Because obviously the code, we generate the code and then, but what I want to know is when the action takes place, that it's sent to the server. I think what happens is I think it was sent out in an email. The user clicks an email. They end up on a page. That then the next thing they do. Anyway, I want to get these codes exchanged for tokens if they're going to be used like that. Like the code should either affect a user's account or give them a guest token. So that when they, I want to be exchanging codes for tokens and having it prompt different behavior. But there's a little bit of UI flow that we need for verifying email. Verifying email sucks because of Gmail. Because if you don't do everything just right and you don't get to know what the conditions are, your emails are delayed by 4 minutes, and it is not acceptable to have a person, particularly emails that have words like related to authentication. They're triggering for spam filters and stuff because if you're not a well-known sender and you're asking someone for authentication details, you're probably spammy. And I don't know how Google decides when to delay the messages or not to delay them, but sometimes when I'm creating them, sometimes I get them instantly, and sometimes they have a 4-minute delay. And I've tracked this down. It is literally Google's fault. But since everybody uses Gmail, everything that goes through that filter gets delayed. And so if you want to quickly verify somebody, like with a text message, you just send them a text message. I mean, it's so weird. I feel like you may have had this experience. I'm going through some process online, and it almost feels like before I hit enter, my phone dings with the text message for the verification. And yet, for email, it takes minutes sometimes for stuff to get through, and that's because of these filters, and it's because email's unauthenticated. What we should do is we should just block unauthenticated email. Just, if email is not, but then the problem is that the authentication methods don't work. I mean, email is a rabbit hole. Dang it. Anyway, let's do this here. I'm going to call this my find. But yeah, I could tell you about email sometime. It's not as hard to set up as everybody says. The problem is that there is no way to make it secure. I was able to accidentally spoof an email to myself that was signed, that was going through Mailgun, that everything was checked off, and I was still able to send a forged email to myself on accident. I was very surprised by that. I guess it wasn't entirely on accident, because I was checking to make sure that forged emails wouldn't go through. And then the way that I did it, it happened to go through because I had a forward in place. Blah, 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 blah. The world's a sucky place. That's all I gotta say. It's hard. Okay, so that's clear. I'm gonna save that into utils. Oh, bless me. Did I actually run that? Yes, I did. I very so did. Okay, cool. So I'm going to, let me just pick a couple of these to look at. And see how bad it is. That was something else entirely. That was not related to that change. Okay, let me pick this thing here. This is probably related to the change. Okay. And actually, maybe I want to undo that, because I think I'm just as well if it just throws a hard error, because that means I should have definitely staged changes before I made that change. Definitely should have. However, it's probably easy enough to fix, because I don't think I'll stash my changes and I'll take a look. This is what I'll do. So let's see, utils. All right, replace all. I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to replace it with this. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do a stash. And then I'm going to do a search for rec.user question mark. Except I need to escape the question mark, I think. We're using JavaScript regular expressions with RG, not Perl regular expressions, which in this case I think they're both the same anyway. Okay, so there is a couple of places where that existed that way before. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, take these two places and go edit them manually. Line 255 in API routes index. Okay, 255. And then that makes sense. That place totally makes sense where that's being used that way. And then I'm going to go update it on line 19 and here. And this is probably it's probably not a good use of it. But wait, no, we shouldn't have gotten here anyway. There's no way that we should get into a place where we need rec user without rec user existing. So yes, I'm not going to change that. That is working as intended. Okay, so let me see about these routes. Just checking. Oh, welcome. Just working on work stuff. tracking down some bugs, and as I'm doing so, I'm just trying to keep a mind on security and the future, because that's what's in the pipeline. So the change that I just made, which you may have already been here for. Oh, hello, yet another person. And remember, when you do leave, because you've got other stuff to do or whatever, if you like what you like, you get more of what you like. So what I'm trying to do is actually, it's okay if we get hard failures on as I'm changing things, because I'd actually rather get hard failures where there used to be soft failures. I'd rather get hard failures because we want things that are broken to be more apparent and to be more visible. Anyway, so user profile. Can I? Oh, let me do that. Okay, so profile, and I think it was our get root. Yeah, right here. So user settings. Yeah, so this one, there's no way that rec.user should not exist. Everything that starts with /user should at least have an ID token at bare minimum. So I'm totally fine with that change. That's good. So let me go back here and restart the server, rerun the test. And okay, the test fails that time for a different reason. Now we have been, oh great, test passes. This is great. Let me go double check on that. Got storage token, good. Cool beans. I do have to be careful not to log out. There's certain development tokens I gotta be careful not to log out, because there's certain ones where the system that we're using, which I'm pretty sure Box is not this way. I think Box is fairly enterprise, fairly well established. But there's certain things that we use where they don't have an ability to differentiate between a developer testing environment account and a production account. And so in a few cases, although the account may be segmented off for development, the token itself actually does whatever it would do. By account, I mean our customer account. It would be a fake customer account, but it would, say, take up real usage on the API. Anyway, so I feel good about that. I got that one. So that one was fixed. I'm glad that I knew there were two things common, because that helped narrow it down a little bit. It's probably the same problem was in this one if we were to go look at it. So I do have some information, which I think I need to get my other computer out for, because I think I took notes on the other computer. And I also should check in Slack, because I think I was sent an example in Slack. Let me go check and see from yesterday. Alright, I do not want all these previews here. They're gunking up my stuff. Okay. Resource ID, transaction ID. I don't know what that's associated with. That kind of stinks. Huh. Weird, we're mixing strings and numbers on that one. By the way, another pro tip, don't ever use auto-incrementing IDs. That's a really bad idea. And I hear that in MySQL, it doesn't have a native feature for UUIDs, which to me just sounds insane, because how could any database not have UUIDs? I'm going to just Google that real quick. Or, GUID, UUID, some sort of random ID. Okay. Yeah, it looks like UUID. GUID. Okay, cool. Yeah, it looks like there's a function in MySQL. Let's go check this out real quick. And this is old. This is since 5.7, so I don't know. I don't know what. I'm curious now. So, UUID. Okay. Select UUID? Yeah. Okay, so don't let anybody tell you that you can't do UUIDs in SQL. You just select UUID. And I'm pretty sure I could, let's do create table. Oh, this should be all caps there. Create table. We'll use backticks, right? Test 001A. Bless me. And I don't remember the exact syntax, but what could we say? Columns, is that right? Columns is create table columns. I forget this stuff. I have to look it up every time. Create table, and then see what the MySQL variant is. It'd be nice if there was a standard for SQL, you know, like standard query language. If there was standard, that'd be great. All right. You know, somebody really ought to do, like, just redo database documentation, because it's kind of built with this idea of, you know, oh, we're going to define it as a relational algebra type syntax. And we should just redo database documentation to be like normal documentation, where we don't try to force it into a B&L type structure. I think it's called B&L. Is that what it is? I mean, it fits very nicely. It's very natural. But it's not very readable. Well, it is very readable. And I mean, if you want it terse, it's not, how to say, it's great. I don't want to get rid of the way that it is. I think the way that it is great. I just want something that also provides more of an at a glance. You know, like the TLDR up at the top should be, here's how you create a table every time that you ever wanted to create a table. This is what you always want to do. You know, and then it should have the extremely terse, every single possible option, italicized reference names. You know, just give me the example. Create new table as create new table. Char set collate create table. Where the heck is the columns? So I'm like halfway down the page. Okay. All right, that's what it is. It's not columns, it's this. So, you know, literally halfway down the page it gets to the first simple example. So this should be UUID should be what is it, varchar? Is that what we call it these days? Or text, varchar, varchar, primary key default UUID. This should work, I think. Okay, maybe not primary key, maybe just ID default. What is it? Not null default, maybe? Okay, data type. Not null default. There we go. Okay, not null default. Okay, so maybe, do I have to specify the size? Ah, okay, cool. And that's not the right size. But cool. There we go. That is how to create my SQL table. I'm going to make note of this. Let me pull up my little... So now, those of you that have been following along know that I've been working on Bliss. Now, I'm going to jot a note down to myself. Okay, so how many varchar should a UUID be? I guess it could be short. No, I want it in string format. I definitely want it in string format. And let me see. UUID generator. Because we got to include the hyphens. So fun fact, this is always 4, always. And I think it's this one can be 8. No, this one right here. It can be 8, A, or B. I think that's how it ends up being. Yeah. No? 9. 8, 9, A, or B? 4? Yeah, I think that's right. 8, 9, A, or B is what that can be. Just a fun fact. Dot length. So I don't even need to do varchar. It is exactly 36. So I could do char 36, right? I'm just going to test this again just for fun. Primary key. Oops. And we're just going to call this ID. And generally when I'm writing, in my own code I like 2 spaces, but when I'm writing example code, I often put in 4. Okay, and we can get rid of that there. Yep, and I will turn this out into a better blog article later. Okay, so let's try this again. Oh, I can't go back. Let's do drop table test 001A. Well, that's kind of strange, because you used to know that table. How can the table already exist and not be known? Riddle me this. It's okay. I'm going to change its name to B. Yeah, okay, cool. That's right. Cool. And I'm not sure whether... I think I'll make this one a really friendly one, and I'll just put it on Beyond Code, because I got a couple of different blogs that I do. But I think this one will be a good one for Beyond Code. Not that I want anybody to use MySQL, but a lot of people do. Okay. Oh, hey, Sedok, William. Incremental is bad for security. Someone can scrape your entire DB. Well, it's not the security aspect that I'm worried about, because it's authenticated users, right? So you can't just scrape the ID unless it's something public like the International Movie Database. But at that point, you can crawl the website and you can scrape it anyway. The problem, yeah, the verification of the function is thread safe. That you can concurrently write to the database is the problem. Yes. Concurrency will bite you in the rear. Yes. Oh, eBNF, not BNL. I don't. What is BNL? eBNF. Right. That's what I was talking about. Okay. And then so there's a whole bunch of comments here while I was looking up the MySQL documentation from William. I mean, secret identity Sedok, who doesn't know SED that well, as per his own admission. A TLDR for the MySQL documentation site would be a great Chrome extension idea. I know, right? Have you seen, by the way, this? So I can just type in go and then say, I don't use this nearly enough, though, to be honest, IPv4. Look at that. So here's an extension that indexes the Go documentation, and I can go right there. And I hardly ever use it. It's so cool. I tell people about it, and I totally forget that I have it installed. Same thing with Rust. I can go rs, and then I could look up, here's the buffer implementation. And they had one for JavaScript, but here's the crazy thing. It got rejected from the store. So Chrome will allow the Go documentation to be parsed and the Rust documentation to be parsed, but for some reason they don't allow the JavaScript MDN to be parsed. It's like it got flagged for some weird reason. But I'm going to check and see if they've managed to publish it again yet, because they did not have instructions on how to actually build it and install it yourself either. So I'm going to check on that real quick, because that would be extremely useful for me to have around. So what was it? It's something like Go search extension. There we go. Let me try to do this. Go search extension. There we go. Yes. No. I don't want to search with the Go search extension. I want to search for Go search extension. There we go. Okay, Go search. Where's the person that created this? I think they have it for Firefox. I bet if we click on here, we'll see a link. What? Nope. Okay, maybe they got removed. But they seem to be really legit. What? I think for some strange reason, they got flagged. But I don't think that there's any malware or anything in it. It was a legit company. Yeah. So rust.extension.sh. And then they've got other ones too. But if you go to install it, will it load? Okay, cool. So it's there. Yeah, so they're making these things, and they're really awesome. Just super, super awesome. Yeah, so it's sponsored by JetBrains and Vercel. It's made by Hoohoo. They got one for C, C++. Let's see if the JavaScript one works yet. No, see, for some reason it redirects you to their other extension. And then I opened up an issue on GitHub to say, hey, how the heck do I install this thing? And I don't know how to install manually. Let's see. Then click the load unpacked button. Let's see if I can get this real quick. So let's just say, I know this is a little bit of a tangent from where I was intending to go. I'm going to set my timer on this. I already spent 5 minutes on it. I'm not going to spend more than 5 minutes more on it. Okay, let's say JS search extension. Okay, done. And then, except I need to go to Brave extensions. And some of these things I'm embarrassed that I have. Honey is retarded. I need to turn that off. I haven't used one tab yet, but it seems really cool. Smart Share doesn't work on Brave correctly, but it works a little bit. Then select extension manifest.json. Load unpacked. Developer mode. Load unpacked. And then let's go to where's my projects directory? Projects, root, and what was the name of this thing? JS search. Oops. Nope. Let's go to root. Okay, click in here, and then JS search, and then extension, and there is no manifest. Let me try this. Does it work? This would be super useful. Okay, JSON is required to get started. Install JSONet. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to waste time on this. I'll look into this later. If somebody else figures out how to get this thing installed, please post a blog about it. If not, then I will. I'm going to bring this over to save for later. All right, search extension. Yeah, I'm gonna just save that for later. When I get to a good break point, I'll whip that back out and finish that. Okay, anyway. Yeah. Okay, so I'm glad that I identified that, because we'd had this discussion before, and it was something like it was hard, or it didn't work right, or something, and now I know exactly what to do. So even though this is a little off the beaten path, I'm glad that I have that. I'm armed with that knowledge now. I'm glad for that. Okay, the next thing, I don't know about this flat feature. I don't know how to go about fixing that. But what I do know is that it is time to commit. Yeah, I'll go ahead and commit that first. Git commit -m chore. I don't know if I should call this chore or feature. I don't know. Add search replace util to utils. Was it utils or util? Utils. Okay. Oh, and we got a bunch of other comments, it looks like. Primary key comes at the very end. Wait, but primary key does not come after... Primary key comes before not null, doesn't it? I'm gonna update this real quick. Thanks for letting me know. I'm pretty sure that either it doesn't matter or it comes anywhere. I'm gonna check that real quick, just so I know. Yeah, primary key can come anywhere. It can come. I would think you could even put not null primary key default, or you could put default primary key not null. One of the things I don't like about SQL is that the terms are not put together, because you couldn't put primary not key null. It should be primary underscore key, or primary hyphen key, or primary camel case key, or something like that. But SQL is SQL. For worse or for worst. Yeah, that's a good... I'm going to start using that now. For worse or for worst. Just making a little note to myself. Okay, and yeah, we're back on task there. I'll let that thing's just going to blink for a minute. Okay, so now, gosh, it kind of stinks though, because I need to PR this. It sucks to PR something that touches 1 million files. But I'm just going to go git diff this. And this is mostly... This should have been 2 PRs. It should have been everything else and then this. Yeah, well, this rec.user ID is going to have to change too, so I might as well do that. There's a number of things that I might as well just do right now. I just need to make sure that there's not anywhere where something begins with something else and then has rec. So I need to make sure my expression... I'm not too worried about it. I'll catch it in review. Okay. Yeah. I guess what I can do... Maybe I'll swap it back real quick. I think I will. I think I'll swap it back real quick so that I can get a clear handle of what the important things I'm changing are, because this is changed. Like, you know, when you go in for review, you don't want to have to look at 100 million files. I want to be able to say every instance of this was changed to that. That's what this commit is about. I don't. So I'm gonna undo this real quick. I'm going to run my utils, and then we're just going to replace all rec.user.accountID with rec.accountID, and there are going to be a couple places that change in reverse with this. So I kind of want to leave that one alone. Okay, this I want to stage for sure. Okay. Get at that I want to stage. Okay, this one I want to put that in a separate commit and just say like error handling fix up for that. Okay, this we don't want to change. I'm gonna have my other window open here, and I'm just gonna git checkout that one, because that one we don't want to change to go the wrong direction. It was already the right direction. Okay. This one we don't want to change the wrong direction either. I don't think we made any other changes in here. Okay, this one we don't want to change the wrong direction. So yeah, it's a lot shorter list to just fix the places where. And again, the purpose that I'm doing it this way is just so that I can make a better commit message and have an easier time explaining it. Alright, this one, rec.user, This looks good. Payload. Oh, this is just the test stuff. So yeah, test is fine. Okay, so let me take a look at this again. All right, so that I don't want to include that one right now. I'll just include that as part of the. Let's see, error handling update. Okay. So that's add last name. This is a bug fix. That's documentation. I'm just going to throw all this stuff together because I don't want to make a commit for each file. And then what's the one that I have stashed here? Okay. Yeah, so we're just going to make a various, like, bug and typo fix thing here. And this one I'm not going to put up for review because it's very simple. Well, maybe I should put it up for review anyway. Okay, get diff. Yeah, that's just comments. Yep. And a tiny refactor. Tests. We don't need that anymore. And then this one is just a to-do we're going to put right here. And I think that one's going to be a post as well. So, test is good. And then that one, okay. What branch am I on? I think I'm on, okay, I should check out master. Can I check out master? Nope, I can't do it. Okay. So let's do bug fix, minor typo, bug fixes, bug typo, and comment fixes. Alrighty. Do get add, bug fix, unwrap errors. Or rather, don't rethrow good errors. Don't rethrow errors. And then I'm going to go ahead and run my replace all rec.account.id with rec.user.account.id, and we're going to replace all rec.user.id. I'm trying to limit the number of things that go onto the user object here. Let's see. No. Okay, I don't quite get what you're saying there, because I think you're responding to two things. He says million file commit, git commit am add primary key. Yeah, that would, I think you're saying change a whole bunch of things and then give it a really simple message. That's how you skip the review process. Yeah, that's what Nick needs to know in order to get async router pushed through. Okay, actually there's a place where I'm going to look where I'm doing an object.assign to outsideness. There we go. I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to update all of these. So outsideness, outside form, account ID, allowed features, form, access code. So I'm going to do all of those except for access code. Because, yes. Because I have access code already has meaning for me. Okay, so what do we got? Outside form, rec.outside form, which I don't think it really belongs on the user object, but I'm not really sure what to do about it. Um, see, I guess it's like could go to rec.code. Let me go check here real quick. Whoops. Rec.access. No. Not in here, maybe? Is this where I'm handling the access code, or is this not where I'm handling the access code? Access code. Yep. I could have sworn I was handling the access code here. Unsafe code data. Okay, I'm just throwing it into rec.user for now, which is, it's better than having it polluted all over the place, kind of, sort of, in a way. Okay, outside form, allowed features, whatever. We're just going to do it. Rec.outside form. Outside form. And then we're going to do allowed features. Allowed features. And replace. And form? I don't know that I really like that. Ugh. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I don't need to do all of these. I'm going to do a git checkout. Because I think I just committed the other things, right? Yeah. Let me think on this. Let me think on it a little bit more. How do I want to handle this? Definitely account ID should go to user. 100% on that. These other things, I'm not really clear on. I don't think that they really do belong to go under user. Where's outside form used? Rec.outside form. Okay, there's very few places where this is checked. How about rec.form? Also very few places where this is checked. I think it would be fair to just get rid of this. Yeah, these are the same file. No, there's one other file here. There's no other place where that is assigned, right? Let me check this. Oh, bless me. Okay, so it looks like there's only one place where it's assigned. And there are only 2 files in which it's used. So I would say we just get rid of these. And just say form. Because that is what it is. We're checking to see if there's a form there. And then, of course, I would do if not form, then next, because that makes a lot more sense than nesting everything, but save that for another day. Okay. Well, I guess the other thing I should check is it possible to get to have outside form? Dang it. Outside form. Right. Oh, also another thing I need to check for is this, which would hopefully this does not exist in many places. I know I use it in a couple places. No, we want rec Okay, so that's where I'm using it. Let me clear the screen here and check to see if we got other comments. Well, hello everybody. Welcome, welcome. Just a reminder for those of you that are coming or leaving or whatever. If you like what you like, you get more of what you like. Feel free to ask me questions and troll me in the comments / chat, but not too hard because I'm trying to get work done. But you can ask questions all you want. I'm okay to go on a little bits of tangent. Just don't ask me things that are like way, way, way tangential. I'll let you know. Ask whatever you want. I'll let you know if I feel like it's a little too tangential or too outside. I can't answer it. Okay, so what I'm looking for is, are there any places where we are accessing either form or outside form from here? And it looks like no. It looks like this is a very sensible usage. Okay, cool. All right, so now I feel like I can continue to make the change that I was making. And I also, okay, if outside form is true, there will be a form. End of story. So we don't need outside form to be on that object. And we don't need account because we've already moved all of the rec.account to rec.user.account. Another thing that we might have a problem with is, no, if there's not a rec.user, then they leave. If there's not an access code, then they leave. Okay, so we're guaranteed to have a user, so we know that account ID is going to go onto, well, should go onto account, so let's just do that here. rec.user.account ID equals to form account ID. Access code, I already have doing something else, so I don't want to put access code there. I'm a little bit worried about where that might show up. Let me do a search through the code base. Rec.access code. Hoping that's going to show up very few places. Ah, thank goodness. Indeed, it does show up in very few places. So where is it showing up? Wasn't this the same file? Rec.access code, where I was assigning it. Check file update. If rec.form, check file update. Okay. Maybe we should put that in user.access code. I'm not really sure where to put that. I don't like it. We're going to leave it there for now. And we're just going to call rec.form equals rec.form. I don't know. And then rec.allowed features. I'm not sure where that's used or what it should be used for. Let's see. Allowed features. And feature in this case actually means something more like property or attribute, meaning what properties of the form or what inputs of the form are allowed. Okay, so there's only like one place where this is used. Two places this is used. One. Okay, two places. It's used in this place here and this place here. Okay. I wonder if it could go... I just don't like that hanging off a rec is the thing. But I don't know. I don't have a better place for it. To do. Security. Move this to swap for token. There we go. So no form. Allowed features makes sense, I guess. What? No. Form. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to get rid of this and this. And then I'm going to get diffit to make sure that I did what I think I did. Okay, I definitely didn't do what I thought I did. I guess this should have not spaces. Expected blank to match blank. Oh, okay. I'm not doing this here. Am I? Wait. That. Okay, I just don't like these things. They're difficult to read. They're not communicative. Sorry. It irks me. I know it's in everybody's code, and I shouldn't just go changing things, but this is super clear, easy to read and understand. Like, I know what it's doing. Although, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what it's doing. Loud features. How does that even work? Let's go take a look at where this is used. Resource ID, body. Okay, so we check to see if it's allowed ahead of time, and then we check to see if it's allowed where we use it. It seems like we could just put that check here, probably. Just checking comments. Hello, everybody. Welcome. For the newcomers and the old stayers, as you come and go, just remember, if you like what you like, get more of what you like. I try not to say that more than once in half an hour, and I think I've said it more than once in half an hour now, so I apologize. I don't want to... I'm not trying to pressure anybody. If you don't like it, then don't like what you don't like, and you get more of what you don't like, actually. You get more of whatever you interact with. Let's see. Build outside forms. Where was I? Oh, sorry, I lose my place sometimes. We were looking for allowed features. Allowed features. Okay, allowed features includes... So really, we could just... If this is the only place where this is happening, we could put that over there. I don't know. Where else was it used? Here? I'm just kind of exploring the code. I just want to know what this allowed feature thing is doing. Allowed feature query where has access. Huh. What does it mean? Whoever came up with this should probably be shot. Okay. Now I can read this. So return answer or flat features ants. I mean, I can kind of, I don't know. I don't know if I can think of any case where arrow functions improve readability or make the code more clear or more accurate. They can make the code more accurate where you already have bad code, for example, where you're using this. But then the question is, why were you using this? Maybe you should solve that problem in your code rather than introducing arrow functions. Like, solve the root problem. The root problem is that you have strange context floating around in a language that doesn't deserve them. Okay, I'm not really clear what this means. Loud features. Okay, I'm just going to leave that there because whatever. This is also one of those things where probably because it's got, this whole function thing that it's doing, probably easier to just do let allowed feature equals. I'll just call this ID, I guess. Combined ID. I forget what we call that when we combine them together. It's like not a dual key. I think we just call it a combined key. But yeah, I'm all about the readabilities. So if we can make it more readable, and I think we just add that there, and then boop. Oh no! The world is on fire. Why? Let ID equal. Because of this. Because of this. There we go. Okay. Okay, so this begs the question, if they have allowed features, and then we're checking to see if the allowed features includes this, but if it doesn't include it, then we're throwing an error, then wouldn't we want to not continue? Because I could be wrong. I think we just found a security bug here. I think we found a place where if they didn't have authorization, meaning no authorization was specified, then they get a free pass. Because now, if I have authorization, then my authorization is going to be checked. Okay, that's something that needs review, because I'm pretty sure we just found a bug where people can get into stuff that they weren't supposed to get into because we were only checking whether or not they were supposed to get into it if they had a token describing. So if they had the wrong token, if they had somebody else's token or a token that matched something different, then they would be denied. If they had the right token, then they get through. But if they have no token, it looks like they just get a pass. So, yeah, that's one of the things. I don't think this is 0 day, but this is one of the dangers of live coding. Find something like that. I mean, we're low profile and all that, but yeah. Oh, and I think we got a bunch of comments here I need to look through real quick. Notice lots of people use reduce where for each would be easier. Yeah, I don't remember where the reduce was being used, but I agree. I think, I don't know. Reduce has maybe 2 use cases for me. One is converting something into a map. So if I have an array of items and I want to turn it into a map of items, reduce is useful there. And if I want to do a poor man's for each async, which I have tweeted a poor man's for each async, and I have a blog, something, I think if you search GoolAJ6 for each async, you can find my blog where I have a for each async in 5 lines. That's where reduce comes in handy, but in other places, I'm not big on using reduce. I definitely see people abuse reduce to do things where it's like, why would you do that? Just construct your array of strings and then join your strings. Don't concatenate, that's slower, first of all, to concatenate. And then to put you just use a map and then a join, I see reduce get abused probably more often than I see it get used in a useful way. Let's see. Let final for each accomplishes similar without more complicated function signature. Oh, okay. Yeah. So the case that I just mentioned, it looks like you're against, which is fine. I don't disagree. For each is something every item, but reduce is used to get through a single value once you're done looping. Get a single value once you're done. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I think reduce is abused more often than it's used correctly. I think there was this tweet I saw the other day, and it said something to the effect of, like, a good developer realizes that JavaScript is a really crappy, distorted, dysfunctional language. A great developer only uses 10 features of JavaScript and makes 100K. And I need to put on my website my Uber picks, my picks that I just pick over and over and over and over and over again. And I think I will do that. But Crockford on JavaScript is the video series that everybody needs to watch. If you are using JavaScript and you love it or you hate it, watch Croc on JS. If you hate it, you might start to love it. And if you love it, you might think that Crockford's just full of crap and that all of the crappy things with the language are good and they should be there. But the series takes place over years. I just put it in the YouTube comments. I'll put it also in the Twitch for the one person that's watching on Twitch. Thank you, one person. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, this thing. I was looking to see rec.allowed features. So I'm pretty sure it should be if not rec allowed features or not rec allowed features includes. So I think it should look more like this is what I think the intent was. But then can we do, yeah, that'll work just fine. Like, at least this makes sense. It does not make sense. I mean, there are certain cases where it does make sense to say, hey, but this does not seem to be one of them. I'm pretty sure that's just a security vulnerability. So security vulnerability fixed. I think I want to go propose that to master right now, immediately. So I'm going to do my, what file was I just in? Outside form. I'm going to go do git diff, and then let's call this sec.diff. I'm going to stash. I'm going to check out master. I'm going to git apply sec.diff. Well, first let me pull, make sure I got the latest. Oh, that's sad. I was hoping there would be a little bit more since the last time I pulled, but whatever. Okay, sec.diff, and then I'm going to make a branch called security. There we go. I'm going to add this, and I'm going to commit bugfix security. I don't know if I'm doing that semantic commit message right. Must have access code and valid access code, not or. Or rather, reject if missing access code or wrong access code. Better phrased, again, a little pedantic. Reject if wrong access code or no access code. Okay, so let me just get diff head tilde1 to double check on this. I don't know why that changed. What changed there? Is this just a like tabs versus spaces thing maybe? I don't see. Let me nix white space on this. Okay, yeah, that was just white space, trailing space or something like that. I'm trying to get us on using prettier and JS lent, but it's a little tough to change people's minds on things or, get processes instituted, but I bring that up regularly. Unfortunately, this is not the type of error this is the type of error that something like JSLint should be able to find. Or maybe not lint per se, but like this right here, it makes sense. If this and not that. Didn't you mean if not this or not that? Of course, with the changes that I made, it should guarantee that it gets to this point. So I think this would actually be better. I'm actually gonna reset this. Outside form handling post feature. I think this would be better written like this, because we want to throw an error if they got to a place where they should have had a token and they didn't have the token in the first place. This should be there. Allowed features should be there. So we shouldn't even have to check for it, because this should be underneath of the umbrella. All right. I'm going to check the other one case where we were using this. Allowed features. Because we have a similar thing. Oh no, that's my diff. Okay, that's where we assign it presently. Just combining things like this. No, don't do it. I'm going to call this FFID maybe. And then I'm going to double check. Oh, darn. Okay, yeah, definitely. Good, this gives me a good excuse to get rid of that stupid arrow function. Ah. And was this, yeah, this was reducing. I guess that's kind of clever. Has access. Turn, answer. Okay, so or every. I don't know, what is this supposed to be? Some? Because I think we could accomplish this better with some, for sure. If this is what I think it is. So has access, it starts with false. And as soon as it's true, then we end, right? So we want this to either be true or false. So yeah, that is the correct one to use. That's the reduce you were talking about. Yeah, so we want to go through these. That's easier to read. If outside form. And then if not outside form, next. What is it? What is it complaining about? Okay, cool. There we go. Return. Don't introduce bugs. Okay. Bum. And we should not have random set timeouts. Dang it. What is this doing? Okay, so if not has access. So if has access, we're done? Okay, let me replay this a little bit. Let me see what this is like. Okay, so if it completes, then we next. So, okay. So we can still next more than once. So if has access, we can next again. See, I'm all about reducing the complexity of the code. All right, and then we're doing our failure. And then why would this be checking again? That's another question. Do we really want that to be happening? And why is this returning? That doesn't make any sense to return a set timeout. We're not doing anything with the timeout object. Okay, what is this check file doing? Oh. Okay, it's calling itself again. So I guess there's some process that might be entered into the database that isn't there yet. And so we want to continue to try. This is probably one of those things where like an API call was made and related to a file upload or something like that. What you coding? Looks like you're on Linux and you're trying to install a web browser. I don't get the joke. I'm sure that it's funny. I'm not familiar with the meme. So link me to the meme or something. I'm sure that I'll enjoy it. I am definitely on Mac. And I am coding that it's kind of been a little bit of a windy road because I started out trying to find a place to fix some errors in the code, and then I noticed some stuff that looked kind of like a security vulnerability, and so then I dug into the file to try to look and see, okay, where is this access token being used? Because if we got a place where somebody can get unauthorized access to things, that's bad, and we don't want that. And so, yeah, I'm just, and then I got down on this road here of trying to understand what this file is doing, because it's one of the two files that use this particular thing, which actually reminds me, I'm just going to put a to-do xxxxx in here to remember to come back to this. I need to go check the original file where this started here, check out the authentication bit, and I need to look to see, were we making this optional? Because I think we were making this optional. I think that's part of the problem. Yeah. So this is part of the problem here. And I think, dang it, this is just going to be one of those things that's annoying in terms of, so if not access code, if not user, then die. Okay. So I think the problem is potentially we're muddying the waters. We have places where a guest should be able to access a resource, and we have a place where an actual user should be able to access a resource. And I think that we need to get those separated. I think that's, maybe there was no security vulnerability. Maybe it's because of the way we're mixing logic. I just didn't quite grasp it. Let me see here. Ha 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 ha. So that I'm laughing because my coworker sent me a message about we have a thing in place where you should be able to get back a secret for verification. If you're on the development server, it should come back in the response body, and you don't have to send out the email to do the verification step. And he said he might have just accidentally sent 600 emails to himself. Let me see here. I'm going to say, I think that's already turned on in dev. Okay, so I don't want to move that to a cookie. I want to move that elsewhere. Let's see. I'm going to diff this file against my branch where I was originally making these changes before I decided, oh, this looks like a security issue that actually needs to move along quicker and be reviewed more directly. Okay. So I don't want this to be in a cookie. To do exchange for guest access token. All right, we don't need that. Now I'm back to redoing some work. But at this point, like I said before, it's not about moving fast. It's about getting to the right place. So my question is, if there is a user, what do we want to do? Maybe it should be more like this. If there is a user, return, whoops. Nobody saw that. I don't write code that way. Maybe it should be more like this. Or maybe it should just, no. Let's see, what are we trying to do? Okay, if access code. Now I get it. Okay, I was mistaken in the way I thought that I understood this before. Okay, so we're checking the access code again because we might get an access code. So my previous logic was wrong. So if we still don't have an access code after this, I'm going to have to look at this diff. Sorry, these couple of functions are taking a really long time, but like I said, I want to make sure that the security aspect of it is correct and the logic makes sense. So maybe that is a little bit more clear. Let me check and see what it was before. Or what it was way before. Can we get this maybe, let's not worry about the white space. And I do want to figure out the deal with that timeout. Okay. Okay, I think that this is correct. Gosh. Going down. And then this other comment. I think the person did give me the meme. Trying to the meme is trying to install a web browser, which the only thing I see for that is, long story short, if all this sounds too complicated, you are better off giving up on trying to install a web browser on Kodi and simply blah 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 blah. So I'm still not familiar with what the meme is exactly, but okay. Ooh, blah, 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 blah. if match. I don't really want that console.log there anyway. Okay, that makes sense. But I don't know that I actually want to let a user through this way. I think that's another part of the problem, is that we're mixing guest logic with logged in user logic. I think that is where some of my hesitation comes from. Because now, let's see. Let me look at this one more time. Hey, little girl. What's up? What are you up to? Okay, so we want to do the whole thing over again.
Made those monsters! I made those monsters!
You did make that monster. You are absolutely right.
Make monsters. Make monsters. I want to make monsters. I can use mine there.
Let's see.
It's never been on my, and on my bike it's broken.
Yeah, that's from the other bike. We don't have a tire for that anymore. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of...
This tire is...
Let's see, where's tries set? Tries? Tries equals 0. Okay. I'm just going to get rid of that way of using this. I'm going to make sure that that's not used in other places. Let me go check that real quick. Check file. Okay, it's only used in here. It's only used with Express. It's not used in any other place. So I'm going to say we're going to bring in sleep. Const sleep equals require. Sleep is one of those things that I don't actually put in a module. I just copy and paste it when I need it. Hold on just a second. What's up, sweetie?
My bucket's broken. My bucket's broken.
Yep, that's true. I should probably hide this away. Or just put it up somewhere. Give me just a second. I'm going to put some stuff on. Yeah. One day we'll find the inner tube for that. And they have it in stock. Oh, whoa. Spiderweb in my office.
It's my fault.
What are you doing? Little girl? You climbing up in my chair? You climbing up in my chair? Alright. Why don't you go to Mom? Okay, you want to hang out here? Alright, well you can hang out here. Just don't cause too much trouble. Okay, where was I at? Sleep. Sleep. I think that's where I put it. I need to get that plugin that reads from the file system while you're typing and then auto-completes your modules for you. Okay, also, what does it complain about on line 214? Oh, I didn't finish what I was doing here. So this is an async function, sure. And then we need to await sleep, and then we need to await isn't DB yet. And then we can put in tries or 0. I guess we can just do it like that, yeah, tries. And then this could be tries plus 1. Same thing that was before. So this isn't really much different. It's just a little bit more clear that this is not being used elsewhere. And I actually would like this to be... I'd actually prefer this to be a for loop, even though I think I will do that. Because then the function stack, if something goes wrong in here, I don't want to see the same thing in the stack trace over and over again. Adeline, what are you doing? So let's say... Okay. Yeah, because then we can... Has next... Let me just return. Yeah, okay. So for let tries... I'm going to do it this way. Let tries equals 0. Tries less than 5. I don't like magic numbers, but let's do this. Let max tries equal 5. I mean, obviously, that's a little redundant, but whatever. I plus equals 1. And then we'll do this whole thing. And we don't need that. And then... And then this here we can just throw errors.create. And then don't need that. Failed. I don't think we actually need to know that it's failing anymore. That was probably for debugging purposes a while back. Alright, let's bring in errors from the same place. Also, while I'm messing with this, now I'm going to keep it simple. There's a big refactor that I got coming up where I'm going to be redoing errors all over the place. And I actually already did it once, but it was too big. I need to take it step by step a little bit. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay. You leave the AC alone, little girl. Wait, where'd you get the inner tube from? I thought I put that up. Here, let me have it, please. Okay. Let's see if the goo stuff worked on this. No, it didn't. Inner tube for her little bike that I tried patching, and the patch didn't hold, and I tried putting slime in it, and the slime didn't hold. So we swapped it with another bike, and so now the other bike is broken. Couldn't find the inner tube at Walmart. They were out of stock. Lots of kids busting up their inner tubes, I guess. Okay, errors.create. Wait, errors was right there. Right? What? Oh, okay. That shouldn't be a problem anymore. Some of these places, I have things not required up at the top because there was basically loops. Require loops. Okay, so... Oh, whoops, not I. Tries. Alright. If tries... What do we want? Tries is, so we don't need the if tries is greater than 5. So try 5 times, and then it'll throw an error. Nice. Okay, so that's the check file function. That was all because this thing has allowed features in it. I'm trying to track down allowed features. This is one of the only places where it's used. And I don't see anything that suggests that this could be used by other users. Yeah. So I think we're just going to have some problems over the next week. Just trying to pull out places where we're using an access token for a guest or we're using stuff for a user. I want those to be separate because that's where you can get errors introduced. That's one of the areas where the code becomes less readable. If you can segment off and say, here's the same resource, here's a way a guest accesses it under /guest, and here's a way that a user accesses it under /user, you've got one authentication gatekeeper that you can put right at the top. Everything that goes under /user gets authenticated the same way. Everything that goes under /guest gets authenticated the same way. And then they can call a common function underneath. Once it's decided the guest does have access to this account and the user does have access to this account, then you can call the common function that does the thing with the account. But as an interim, but combining those two together and having to read through that logic is just not ideal. Anyway. Allowed features. Let's check this one more time. So the thing that I need to check now, which I'm pretty sure is rec.user ever mentioned here. Rec.user ID. Indeed it is. So let's go back up here. So this is my question. Okay, first of all, what should happen? What should happen in the opposite case? So we don't have any handler here. I don't know what should happen. Is this supposed to throw an error? Outside form handling. Outside form handling. Post feature. Okay, I'm gonna look for where that's used. Sweetie, what are you doing? Okay. Because it may be that this is not actually middleware. And so I might be looking at it thinking like, oh, this should be calling next. Why isn't this calling next? It looks like the reason it's not calling next is because it's not middleware. I think it got the response object. Hey, sweetie. If you want to play this, you need to go play with it in the kitchen. Okay? Do you want to go play with it in the kitchen? We'll find out if Mommy likes that. I don't think she will like it either. I think she'll ask you to throw it away. But if you want to play with it, go play with it in the kitchen. All right? Okay? I love you, little girl. Here. Go on. Take that to the kitchen, please. Take it to the kitchen trash. Thank you. Okay, I'm just checking to see if we got any more comments. Hello, for those of you that are joining in. Welcome. Feel free to ask questions. All right. So this, yeah, I'm pretty sure what we're seeing here, outside form handling post feature. Yeah, okay. So I'm guessing this probably should not get the res object at all. And I'm going to see what I can do to make it so. Because that's confusing. Does it need the... Yeah, it doesn't even need the res object. That was just from before we had our error handling set up differently. Thank goodness the remote keeps its settings separately from the box. Because imagine, with her going over there and pressing all those buttons, if the remote's memory could be updated by the box, I'd be in deep trouble. I wouldn't know which 4 settings are turned on or off. Anyway. Yeah, we used to have to pass res around because we didn't have proper error handling and we didn't have the async router in place, and so res would get passed around so that errors could be handled and stuff like that. By the way, if you are a Node developer, the most important thing that I can share with you, most likely, is async router. So let me bring that back around again and share it a second time in the chat, because it's just so daggone important. And there's a little video explaining it. Watching that video will probably do more for your life and your career if you are a Node developer who uses Express, either because for some reason you want to, or because you have to because you're working with legacy code. I actually like working with Express because I found ways to, well, like that video shows, I can now make it work like a normal framework should work. Ah, not with all the stupid. Anyway, so that 20-minute video, the first 5 minutes of it, most important things that I could share with you. So I won't be offended if you stop watching this and go watch that instead, because it will do better for you. Because you don't want to be having to pass res around to handle errors, or to not be able to catch errors and have async stuff not working in an async way. Anyway, so what we got here, this is another one of those places where it looks like we just need to invert this condition. So we should just return. And then this one, kind of a funny thing about it, is we are doing nothing to make sure that any of this actually gets executed. So I'm a little bit confused about that. So if it's not a document, then return. But if it is a document, then what are we doing and why? Okay. Okay, if it's not a document, so it has to have a form, which just like, okay, so we're kind of at a nearly impossible condition here. Because if we have allowed features, it's most likely it's a guest. It has to be a guest. The only way that we can have allowed features is if it's a guest. Yeah. Yeah, the only way that we could have an allowed features is if it's a guest. Because if it's a user and they don't have an access code, so if it could be a user, they could be logged in, but they could be getting an access code as a guest for another account. So they could be logged in and have allowed features. That is possible. But it's not possible for them to have allowed features without having the code. And then down here, we're referencing rec.userid, which, I mean, I guess this could be optional. We could want to say like that. Maybe. But then we're not actually doing anything with this. And for my sanity, I've just been going in and replacing these with, there we go, putting awaits in front of them, because I don't know which of them are unintentionally unhandled versus intentionally unhandled. Alright, so patch and fetch by ID. Just checking comments again. When I'm looking here, I'm checking comments. Okay, upload a file to your file cabinets. And then why are we sleeping? There's a strong possibility this will be renamed in a very short time. And the endpoint responsible for renaming this is not guaranteed to be hit. So while this one is guaranteed to be hit, we'll give it a second to see if the file name changes. I feel like that deserves to be there. All well and good, though. Okay, so we're going to give it a second. And then we're going to get some more info. Okay. And then we're going to create an event, which we might have a user ID. So I need to figure out what create timeline event. See, dang it, now we're going down another rabbit hole. We should definitely have a convention for these things to know, like something in the name or something in the folder structure should kind of tell. I mean, event sounds like it's something that's asynchronous and disconnected. We're going to create an event. We don't need to wait for anything to happen. But I'm not clear that that is true. Create timeline event. So it is an async function. It's got some try in it. Probably doesn't need a catch. But the catch is silencing it. And does it look like, let's see, does it look like there's anything in here? Ugh. I hate the ternary operator too. Don't use ternary operators. No one ever regretted not using a ternary operator. You'll never hear someone say, you know what? I wish I'd used a ternary operator there. Really sucks that I didn't. No one ever said that. Don't use ternary operators. So for those of you that don't know, ternary operators are when you, instead of making an if, you just start chaining things together. So this should be if this, then this. Wait. So if this, then message equals this. Especially if you got colons in there, man. Come on. Else. So else it looks like message equals empty string. And whoops. And then in both cases plus the label. Message plus equals star label star. Okay, and then it turns out we don't even need this. That's all we need. If level is greater than 1. What was this called again? Create timeline event. Is that exactly the right name? I don't want to be goofing off in some function that we don't need. Create timeline event. That's what it's called. Okay. Alright, so we're adding a message. Don't we need a message anyway? Do we not need messages? Okay, so it looks like this is level equals level or 2. I'm going to try, and I'm going to catch. I don't like try catches. Try catches are a code smell. Wherever you have a try catch, you're probably... I mean, there are a few exceptions. There are a few exceptions where try catch is really, really the right thing to do. Normally, it's when you're creating a parser for some sort of text format. There's a couple other use cases, but usually if you got a try catch, it is a code smell. You should either be doing an await catch or just, yeah, you should be doing an await catch or something else. Let's see. So this is Slack basic account message. Send message to Slack with emojis. So I think we're sending an error message. I'm guessing that's what this is. Create timeline event. We're going to send Slack message for certain events. If level is greater than 1, I'm going to send some emoji. I'm going to put a label. I'm guessing that is to, so it does markdown. Shouldn't have to worry about any sort of exploits in Slack in terms of injection of arbitrary strings. Let's see, if link. And this is a case where I would actually say this, I think this makes sense. Or maybe we could even use the new fancy syntax like that. I think that, no. I see why. Because we do have this over here. Wait, that's not, oh, okay, yes. I'm like, it's not possible to have two characters as a single character. No, it's escaped, got it. Okay, cool. So got this, then what is this doing? Just doing something. Yeah, that's too long. I see why that's that way. It looked like it might be short enough. If user ID. Where the heck did we get user ID from? Okay, so yeah, user ID is completely optional in there. Understood. So don't need to fail on that. One of the other nice things about nesting the user ID, which will cause some breaking changes but will make the code more robust and clear, is if we use rec.user $user ID, then it's clear that it's optional. Okay. Responding over in chat about the 600 emails. I can definitely add an option to not send the email. Let me put that on. Let's see, which to-do should that go in? I'm going to just make a GitHub issue real quick. New feature. Option to not send verification emails when verifying. Probably needs, let's put in here, dev option. Enough said. Whoops, and I should assign that to me. There we go. Okay, let's see. Still checking out comments. Got some long haulers in here. Y'all been with us for a while. Imperial us. Okay, console.body. We probably don't need to log whatever that body is. I'm all about cleaning up the code at this point. I mean, like cleaning up the output so we can discern relevant output from non-relevant output. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm okay with. I can see this probably doesn't need. Okay, see, and this is another thing. Like, you got nested try catches. All right, what's error in creating task timeline? The other one is also error in creating test timeline. So if we got two catches, they're doing the same thing, and this catch is going to bounce up to that catch, then we don't need this catch here. So I'm just going to get rid of this catch, because if the error happens, it's already being caught. Let's see. So it kind of makes me wonder, like, why do we do it that way? Why not just do let timeline equals? I used to be a strong opponent of async await, predominantly because, well, it broke the language, and you couldn't use it anywhere. And I don't like using things that require, you know, if it's not been supported for 2 LTS versions of Node, I don't care to use it, unless it's really, really critical, if it really makes a difference. And, you know, async await, most people use it poorly, and the difference that it normally makes is it normally makes their code suck worse, which I also demonstrated somewhat in that link that I sent out. But let's see. I don't think I actually wanted to return timeline here, because what was this doing before? Return await. Okay, so maybe we do want to return timeline. Are we changing timeline in some way? Because it would totally make sense. Wait, so we're not returning timeline here. I don't think we actually wanted to return timeline. Let me go check and see if there's any places we're actually using the result of create timeline event, because I don't think there are. Create timeline, create timeline, create timeline, create timeline, create timeline, create timeline. Yeah, in none of these places where we're using it do we actually care about the return value. So it doesn't make sense to sometimes give a return value and sometimes not give a return value. Get rid of the return value. Okay. And then, oh, anyway. So yeah, I don't like to use features that haven't been available in evergreen browsers for, say, 2 or 3 years, or that haven't been available in Node for one full previous LTS cycle, unless they're just really, really great. So like they're, you know, critical, which normally they aren't. Anyway, you can write really clean code with promises. The promises lend themselves to cleaner code than async await does, Because if you don't use async await with promises, if you use it without promises, you're going to write far worse code because you're going to have all these try catches and everything, and your code's going to be all blah, 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 look like total spaghetti. And if you use promises, your code wouldn't look that way. So why would you take a downgrade to make your code look worse to implement a feature because it's new? But I think the thing is, people are sold on the idea of like, oh, you don't have to learn promises if you use async await, and that's false. Because if you use async await and you don't understand promises, then how are you going to use async await? Because it's built on promises. Anyway, ramblings of an angry old man. Okay, also, returning console.info makes no sense. Why would you return console.info? Okay, created at... Okay, socket by account ID. I think this is another one of those things where this is firing off an event. Okay, so what could the errors be here? This is another thing I'm interested in. Like when we're trying to track errors, what is the possible error? And this is so big. I feel like we ought to just create a helper function and then catch the error in the helper function. Like I could just do, well, like this. I could just do this. So, we did that. And then we could have all the same things. And then I guess we could just do this, and this, and this, and then we could call create timeline event. This, this. Okay, and this is another thing. I've had people tell me, "Oh, this is stupid to return await." I actually want to make a video just specifically on return await because it's documentation. It's documentation that this is an async function. So if I come in here and I decide I need to do something else later on, then I have documentation of what that was. Because you know what you've never done? You've never needed to change code and remove the return and then have it cause an error by the await still being there. That's never happened. But you know what has happened? Realizing you needed to add an extra line, there not being an await there, getting rid of the return, writing the next line, and then the code not working. That has happened. So this is my thing. If you can identify cases where there can be an error without any ambiguity, this definitely can cause an error. And there's another case where it will never cause an error and it will reduce errors. Why would you ever choose anything different? Because code is about writing a system that works well. I know that so many people want it to be about their feelings and their favorite colors, and we've seen people use cursive fonts in their editor, which, whatever. If that floats your boat. But code is about, the beauty of code is when code runs correctly, when it does the right thing. That is the beauty of code. A beautiful program is not a program that uses niche features of a language or is super cool. A great program is one that runs correctly and that can be read easily, can be edited easily. And, feel free to fight me on that, but you're going to lose. Or at least you're not going to sway my mind. Every form ever follows function. That is another one of my favorite all-time quotes. Form ever follows function. It was by an architect who basically said, the sense of it was, if you're in an earthquake zone, the first priority is to make sure that your building is built to withstand earthquakes. If you are building a concert hall, the first priority is to make sure that the rooms are large enough to accommodate the people. And that after you've decided the form, you understand the form of the thing, after you've understood the function of the thing, then you can go in and say, whatever's left over, you can put a lot of fluff in, you know? You can put decorations and whatever. But the function comes before the form. Okay, so what the heck is this thing doing then? I understand what the other thing's doing. It gets insert, timeline, await, transaction, create at socket by account ID. Okay. Now, do we know at this point that we have an account ID? I'd be interested to see. I think the assumption is because you can't create a time. Oh, what we have as timeline events require there to be an account. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and say await that because I'm pretty sure that that is. Oh, one rabbit hole after the other. Let's go make sure. Whoops. So this should be slack.send, not slack. I mean, it's okay to use a verb. I'm okay with that coolness. But let's see, what is it doing here? Is this asynchronous? Trying to put in all the channels. I mean, it's definitely asynchronous. Okay, whatever. Leave that one alone. But I don't see any reason that we shouldn't await it. Like for what this thing is doing. Oops. Go back. There we are. So I don't think there's any detriment to awaiting it. And I'm just trying to get us in a place. It's easier, you know, like first get too strict and then go lax. You know, once you've identified that you don't have any places where you have dangling error handlers and dangling promises and all that, you know, then go back and say, oh, well, we can optimize. We can make this event a little bit faster if we do this, you know, not in tandem. But right now, I feel like the problem is more we need to get our error handlers and everything. Now, the socket by account ID, I don't think this is awaitable in a meaningful sense. Because this is, let's see, socket by account ID. Yeah, I don't think it's awaitable in a meaningful sense. Because that send event is just completely not awaitable. So that's fine. I just want to annotate that. Whoops. Not possible to catch errors. Not currently possible to catch errors. I'm sure there's something that we could do, but I think the errors are handled elsewhere, and we wouldn't have a way of associating the error, and it wouldn't matter. That's going to get logged out elsewhere. Okay. Okay, it's a little bit much. You know what I do? So here's what I do to trick Prettier when I'm just like, no, this is way too much. I just put comment. Boom. That's the secret to tricking Prettier. When it's letting a line go on too long and you're like, yeah, this really should get broken up. Just do that. Okay, I guess I could do an arguments apply on this. I'm going to leave it like that. Okay, so we got to send a Slack message, and then we've got a send to WebSocket. It looks like is the end result here. Yeah, it looks like this whole thing culminates in okay. To all logged to all users. Okay, let's say this differently. Broadcast WebSocket message to all logged in account users. Now, for the most part, that's typically just one person has two tabs open. But we could actually have multiple people logged into an account at the same time. All right, cool. Now I understand this thing. Create timeline event doesn't quite make sense to me. It kind of does. I kind of understand it. But not 100%. Okay. Gosh. Let me do a get diff. I'm a little bit lost, to be honest. Went down the rabbit hole. Okay, check file wasn't used anywhere else. You've got to have an outside form on here. Oh, but also, I remember. Oh, let me go back to here. Was this it? It's not possible to have an outside form without having a form. I saw no place where that was set. I will double check. I'll look for any use of this. I just want to check source code, not the database. Alrighty. And I want to limit this to just be things that immediately match outside form. So not words that start with outside and not words that end or that begin with form. So let's try that again. Okay, so finalize. Just checking for comments. Alrighty. Okay, there's another place for this. So I'm kind of redoing the same things that I was doing before. So this commit is going to end up being quite similar to what it would have been anyway. Okay. Yeah, so I only see one place where this is ever assigned, and the only place where it is ever assigned is a place where there's guaranteed to be a form object. So we don't need a Boolean. I'm going to try, all right, one more time. Just make sure that I'm not accidentally misunderstanding anything. Every single one of these, just following along with my finger here. I mean, I should just be looking for a rec.outside form, but I want to make sure in case there's an assignment in a way that I'm not thinking that it would normally appear. Outside form basically means guest form, by the way. We have a lot of our own terminology. Okay, I can get rid of that. We already have this. Okay, so I'm going to end up redoing this a little bit here. That's fine. Rec.form equals form. rect dot, and I think there's only 2 places to do exchange for guest token. There's only 2 places that I can remember where we have allowed features. Or no, where we have access code. In the account ID, rec.account ID. There's a bunch of places where that is. So I'm going to put this in both places real quick on that one. We'll do rec. So we don't have any rec.user.form, right? Rec.user.form. That doesn't exist anywhere. Rec.user.outside form doesn't exist anywhere. I just checked that. Rec.user.access code should not exist anywhere. Rec.user.allowed features will not exist anywhere. And then just to be clear, look for that. Or for that. Yeah, I'm pretty clear on this. Okay, rec.access code. Yeah. Answering a coworker here. Got it in my queue. Those bugs led to some areas that needed a security review. Looks like we have some impossible / confusing scenarios around access codes when the user might be logged in. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, outsideness should just be rec.user.account ID. And allowed features. I almost feel like we should nest this thing under form. What was form anyway? I think it was like an array. That was specifically an object. So form.form. I kind of feel like we should get rid of this and get rid of this. And we should just have rec.form equals. I don't want to change anything right now. To do nix. All right, and then I'm going to have a to do close form. Rec.allowed features equals. And again, I'm doing the same thing. What does E mean? Element? Oh, I'm familiar with that. Questions? form questions. Can we do Q instead, maybe? So it's clear it's not error. Because normally when I see E, I think error. Just, scanning code. I would assume that's what that means. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to say to do and close form. Let's see. I want to fix things, not break them for right now. So small change. Form equals form allowed features. That's it. Okay, so this should change very, very little in total. I'm just going to go ahead and add what I've got and then diff it. And pretty soon here I need to take a break and switch tasks. There's something else. There's like a small task I had teed up. Oh, blog post. I had a blog post teed up. That's what it was. All right. So all right. If outside form icon emojis. Okay, so this definitely wants to do a -w on. Because I don't want to see just that I denested something. Okay, cool. That's good. Okay, the outside handling form post feature. This was the one where I need to make sure that it can't work if the user's logged in. So I just need to double check that. Actually look at the code, because this is where rec.user could make sense, but I don't think it makes sense if they didn't have, I don't know. I'm a little confused on that. I really am. Okay, that one. Okay, let's go look at this one more time, and then I'm just gonna actually make a commit and push it. Allowed features was the thing, right? So there's no other use of allowed features here. What is being used here? Because right now, yeah, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing preventing. Because I could just do a body, put any feature type I want. Okay. No, but now that we have it segmented out. Yeah, that was just, the logic was confusing. I don't like the name unlisted anymore. I know that I helped decide on that as part of the URL prefix. Because the idea was, the permission system that you have on something is you can have it private, meaning you're required to be logged in or required to have access. You can have it be unlisted, which means that basically there's some sort of non-indexable thing about it. You know, like you have lots of YouTube videos that are unlisted. They don't show up in search, but they're not private. And then you have things that are public. And so that was what unlisted was modeled after. But the way that we're using it, really, it's not unlisted. What we decided to call unlisted does not match that behavior. It is not something where anybody could get to it if it's shared with them. It is stuff where, well, I guess in this case maybe it is, because I think the code is in the URL. So maybe that is actually appropriate. But then the way the code is being used, it's not necessarily, I could be wrong. But it's not the same way that Google Docs are unlisted or YouTube videos are unlisted, where when you access it, you get access to a specific item. This one, it seems, I think the way we're using it is more, you get access to a range of accounts. And if I had been thinking about that more, maybe I would have changed my opinion on that or suggested we call it something else. But anyway, just that we have it at all is good. Okay, so last thing that I need to check, which I'm almost certain I've already looked at enough times, is where is my outside off middleware? This is the off middleware. Okay, last time I'm going to check this. If there's not an access code, but there's a user, go forward. So that's the condition that we could hit in that other place. We could not have an access token, and we could still get there because there's a user. And that makes me a little bit worried at the moment. I think I want to ditch this in favor of duplicating. Yeah, I'm getting rid of this. I'm getting rid of this. If there's a user, but there's no access code, no. Because the way that we actually use this currently, this is going to lead to security bugs. This is going to lead to places where a logged in user could get access to things that they're not supposed to get access to because we're of two minds about it. So if user, no, getting rid of that. We're going to throw in authorized. It's going to cause some bugs. We're going to fix the bugs. There's a relatively small list of these things. And I will just go, I will fix them. And I can just use null for that now. Okay. Okay, cool. Bug fix security. Plus some refactoring along the way. Ugh. Okay, diff. Last review. Well, I guess I'll just go look at this on GitHub now. Pardonnez-moi as I go check this out. I'm gonna look at it privately on GitHub on my other screen. Check out the pull request. I'm just going to merge it in. Oh, I did not. Whoops. Push issue origin security. This is one where I'm just gonna merge it in and say, hey, look at this to make sure this feels right to you. All right, security. Let's take a preview of it. And let me see if I've got the option to ignore white space changes. Because normally I have that option, but I don't see it here right now. And I should also definitely... I won't be able to run my tests because my tests are based on work that isn't in here yet on authentication changes. Well, maybe I can. Let me try running the tests and see how they do. Okay. Alright, cool. Tests are running. They're not as complete as they ought to be, but the ones that are there passed, so that's good news. I'm going to have to put in some tests specifically around this access stuff. Okay. Got somebody calling me. I'm just sending them what's up. Okay, I'm continuing to look on GitHub just to see if there's anything else that I notice. Outside form handling. Okay. Okay, so outside form we got rid of. Account ID we're leaving in place for the moment. Allowed features we're leaving in place for the moment. Form we're leaving in place for the moment. User, the only thing we're going to add to that is account ID. Okay. Alright. That's good. Okay. All right, so now that I've documented that as a PR, I'm just going to go ahead and merge it in this case. Git rebase master security. And I don't ever actually use merge, I always rebase. Because if you rebase in the first place, your rebase is always clean. You never get a conflict. I'd recommend to anybody, stop using that other thing. Oh, what is this? What's modified about this? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can just check out that. That's fine. Okay, rebase security. All right, and now what I'm going to do for my next trick, all these places where there's rec.account ID, now I'm going to do my little utils. Oh. Get... should do a checkout of 2500. And look in utils. I'm going to get checkout master. Actually, let me go back over here. 2500. Where was the commit for that? Sure. I'm going to cherry pick this. And we got the session tracking. The session tracking is probably ready to merge. I wonder why I'm still on this branch. Because I think most of the stuff is actually ready to move over. No, I don't want to. Okay. There we go. All right, we're going to push that one. And then I'm going to go over back here again, and there was another commit that I think I can cherry pick. Don't rethrow errors. Master git cherry pick this one, and then let's see what our head looks like from what it did look like. We just get rid of some try catches. Right. Let me, yeah, W's turned on. So why is this showing up? Because it was nested so deeply. Inverting the behavior to throw the error. This really should be a not found. That's not an unknown. Yeah, even right there, it's documented as not found. So that's not an unknown. I'm going to, which file was this? I'm trying to, as I go through things, we want to get rid of the unknown errors. That should either just be thrown because it's an unexpected error, and so we just let it throw. We don't catch it and then rethrow it as unknown, because then we're losing stack trace information potentially. I think I've fixed it so we don't lose. No, I think we still are losing stack trace information sometimes. Because I had kind of done a rewrap of that so that we wouldn't have, when we're rethrowing errors, we wouldn't lose as much info. But anyway, unknown. I want to get rid of all these bad boys. So this would be a not found. That's appropriate. So, I can feel the hunger getting to me. I am going to have to stop in the next 15 minutes or so for sure. Let's see what's up. Maybe it was a butt dial. Maybe it was one of his kids calling me. Did not respond. Okay, so this is just a fix up. So I'm just going to rebase and go fold that in, and then push that up, and then what's the other thing I need to do? First thing I need to do is every place where there's rec.form, let's make that rec.form.form. Well, redundant, but just trying to keep the place clean. And then, whoops. Where there's allow features, let's do form.allowed features. And then where there was one other thing that I wanted to do. I think it was like access code. Rec.form.access code. I think. Let me check on that one before I make the change. Rec.access code. Yeah. Okay, that's acceptable change. It's only gonna affect 2 places. So I like those odds. And then I'm gonna go back into this basically guest token middleware. And then I'm going to, oops, rec.form equals, and then let's throw all of our stuff in here. Form, allowed features, access code. Okay. Oh, and I still want to put that comment here. And then not ready to nix the account ID yet. I think that actually could go in both places. Are we guaranteeing a user at this point? Rec.user? I don't think that we are. So this one's going to be a tough one. Because really, I think the account ID here is not representative of a user, which presents a problemo. It means that I can't just go through and then say, yeah, because it's a form. It's the form account ID. Dagnabbit. Oh no. So I don't have any guarantee that there's actually a user at this point. Yeah. Dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it. So I gotta get rid of this anyway. Rec.account ID is probably used all over the flipping place. Yeah, I think this was one of the ones where it's in the hundreds. Yeah, it's close to, if not 100. Let's word count that. Yep, it is in the hundreds. So I'd have to go hunt down every place this is used and figure out, is this used because it's used by a form, or is it because it's used by a user? And that is going to present a major problem for me. Okay. Indeed, that is going to present a major problem. Okay. Good. Let's see. And there's probably places where even if I did fix it, it probably still wouldn't work. Yeah. This is going to be a pain. Thoughts? Suggestions? Let me go look in the routes and see how many unlisted routes do we have. Let me just get that as a quick unlisted. How many? Oh, good. Okay, cool. So this is actually not so bad because there's a finite number of places where I could make a check for this that would be very reasonable to make a check. So I could have this in a short order to do. Like maybe I could get this done today. Maybe I could get it done right now. In any case, I do need to bug fix what I just put in, because as it stands, and I don't really like the idea of the user's account ID being changed on that, so I'm gonna vote no on that. I'm gonna vote no. Okay. So it looks like I've got 3 files that I'm going to have to work through. Account storage. Admin storage. I want to go into admin right now. Get token. Rec.account ID. So where all is that used? Let me just double check. Get token. Okay. Admin. So admin storage.get token is different. That's good. So this one would be rec.form.account ID. So I feel good about that. So what I need is an r.get guest token and an r.get user token. So this is what I was talking about like an hour ago, where I just need to segment these things out. And then, I could refactor this out. Well, no, I couldn't. I could not refactor this out because there's one line common between the two, and if I was to replace it with a common line, then I'd have one common line. So, anyway. Okay, so that's all right. Now I need to go find our get token. I'm going to open this on the other screen because the admin function, the admin place is one of those places where the likelihood of there being hard-coded stuff or things that should not be public is a lot higher in the admin area. Of course. Actually, I don't know if that's true. That's my belief. I don't know if that's actually true by any stretch. Okay. So get token, which I could have opened over there, but over here, but I'm just gonna stick with where I'm at right now. I do not see it. Get box token, public admin, preview admin. Yeah, this looks completely different. It does not look similar. Okay, so where I have get token, I'm just going to need to split it into 2 things. So yeah, maybe what I'll do after the break is just go through these files and update them so that they're all using rec.form.account ID and put them in 2 places. And this actually, coming full circle, should fix the errors that I originally was coming in here to fix and should improve our readability, security, etc. Okay, so now we've got unlisted .account. So get guest token, and then we're going to do user Or just account, I guess. And maybe it shouldn't be called get token. Get user token? Maybe we should just call it get token. Anyway, what have we got here for account? I don't even know if that's right. I mean, I don't even know what this thing is. It goes to an account. At the end of the day, it's associated with an account. Alright. And really, that should be a post. That should not be a get. That should be a post. So I think I'm also going to change these to posts while I'm breaking stuff, you know? Because we're creating something that wasn't, I could be wrong. I'm going to double check in that. But I'm pretty sure we're creating something that wasn't there before. Oh, that's not what I want. Okay, shield your eyes. I'm going to go do this on the other screen. I'm going to go find out what this means. I'm assuming that it doesn't mean literally go grab. No, it wouldn't. That wouldn't make sense. It would not mean literally go grab a pre-existing token. Get box token. This would be some sort of API call to get a token. Box, error, resolve, reject, user token, get app user tokens. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Get app user tokens. Get app user token. Get box token. Yeah, this one's almost so simple that I kind of feel like I don't know that it deserves to be in its own file. Kind of just, we should require box and just call the box API directly. The only thing is that it's being wrapped with a promise, but a lot of times things that have func style callbacks, they actually return promises, just people haven't done a good job of documenting. So I'm just going to do a little search here and see if I can find this function. I think this is a box function. I don't think this is one of our functions, otherwise we would have already converted it. Alright. Node box SDK. Promise support. Does not cover some of the box API. Okay, get tokens, get app user tokens. That's the one. Sure, thank you for sharing. We'll add it to our backlog. And this was merged in a couple of years ago. So, let's see what version of the box API we're using. Let me go check in here. Package.json. Box node SDK 1.330. Heaven forbid that they've moved on to version 2. But let's check it out. Ah, good. Yeah, 137.2. That's a non-breaking change. I have faith that Box is going to be good to us. So I'm also going to... Not in this commit. I'm not going to include that in this commit. But I am going to say that we should get at latest. I'm going to install that. And then that's going to cause base tag to freak out. So I'm going to run install again so that the base tag doesn't freak out. Dun, 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 dun. 4 vulnerabilities. Hopefully they're stupid ones. Yeah, I know about these ones. Okay. Yeah, that's development dependency, and this one is not user facing, so. But I do want to get rid of that at some point. Fix it. It's just I don't know where all it's being touched. It's one of those things, you know? Okay, so. I'm not going to do that quite yet. But let's take a look at the diff here. So we're going to get guest token, user token. Let me make sure I actually updated that. Alright, get guest. Oh, I wanted to go back and call the other one the same. Leave its name be. Okay, so get token. Oh, and we have get folder. I gotta see where get folder is called. Our get folder. Unlisted. Okay. So again, get guest folder. And this one, there's enough common lines that, yeah, it makes sense to go ahead and factor it out, because it's literally one line common. There's no sense in factoring it out. Okay, get guest folder, form.account ID, and then do we need rec in here? We still do a little bit, I guess. I can just return this. And then we could just res.json await our get folder rec res. And we could do account rec res. Go ahead and put the account in here. Oh, and of course down here at the bottom I also need to do get guest token and then get guest folder. And I'm not 100% sure that we need the other one, so I'm not going to put it yet. I'm going to wait until I find out that we need it, and then I'll go put it in. I guess that means that I didn't need to refactor this. I'll just make a quick question. Bless me. Sorry, I should have let one of you do that. Okay, let's see if I can get an answer out of that. Probably not, because it's past 6. So I'm just going to roll with it for now. So this is going to be get guest folder, and what to do about the rest of this. That looks right. Okay, so I'm going to break for dinner. I'm going to maybe write that blog post when I get back. We'll see. And then I am going to go through and just fix up these unlisteds so that anywhere there's 2 forms of authentication where it could be for a guest user or it could be for a non-guest user. I mean, we could have just make sure that it's split up between what's public, what's guest user, meaning they've got some sort of access code or token, and what is a real user that has account data, and not muddy the waters between the 3. Also, this gives us predictable behavior when a guest user uses an access code, because the access code, which, I mean, all this is actually going to go away in the future anyway, because we're going to get rid of the way these access codes work. But, you know, it's a plan. You fix and replace and move along. Oh, and I need to ask my wife something real quick. Okay, so I'm just gonna do exactly what I need to do. Okay. Okay, I need to arget token. Let's see, arget token. What was I doing? Arget token, arget token, arget token. Dang it, I lost my track of thought. Well, I'm just going to look through this stuff. The guest token was the big thing, because I know that that's broken. I know a number of things are broken. I need to figure out if I need to fix them. Oh, and that might need... rec.form. Okay. We need that there. If rec.form. In some of these cases, I think it does need to be just if rec.form. If they're allowed for interest from the outside form, make sure they are something in that too. Okay, so I think I do need, because that was basically before we had outside form true, so I don't want to introduce errors there. Ugh. And this is not found. Oh no, look at what I'm doing. We want this to go through our normal error handler. Forbidden. I'll find out what a bad idea this is when we find out how terrible we spell. Ugh. Doot doot. All right. Throw errors.create bad request. Ah, that doesn't make it any better. Might as well. Just keep it. Okay. So a little tiny bit of cleanup along the way here. Probably do the same thing here. Throw errors.create. What was that one? 403 forbidden. Do we have any more things like that in this area? Nope. Okay. So. And do we have any more rec.form.form? Rec.form.form. That stutters a little bit, but it'll have to do for now. Rec.form. If not, rec.form. There we go. Rec.form. If rec.form. Seriously? So there's only one place where you actually use this thing? Really? I guess the other, it's... Whatever, that's fine. Okay, let's get this ready for commit. And what branch do I have this in? Am I operating on master right now? Let me get rid of my, well, I'll do get stash. I'll check out security. And I don't want to rename it, use that branch name because this is not security, this is just bug fixes. Let's call it outside forms. And we're going to rebase from master. Let's check out master real quick and make sure that it hasn't got anything new. No, it doesn't. So we're going to do that and get stash pop and then get diff source. Okay. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. Let's see. And we added the guest to both of those. Our get folder. Make sure we don't have that anymore. Right, good. So that's been updated to our get guest folder. More clear name. Oh, and did I put the W on here? No, I didn't put the W. Let's put the W so we don't get just white space junk. Alright, getting rid of some try catch, wrapping. Alright, errors not found, resource not found, forbidden. That looks good. I'm gonna make sure that errors is actually referenced in there. That looks like it must have been. Because not all of the files have required the errors stuff. Okay. Bad request, good. Swap that over. Swap that over. Get guest token, get guest folder, yep. And then get our token. And let me go check and see if I got a message back from El Coworker. Nope. Let's see. So I'm almost good on this. Not ready to nix the account ID quite yet. But what should I call this? What was the bulk of what this is doing here? Just look at source, don't look at package.json. Okay. Try catch. I mean, I'm unwrapping some errors. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so this is kind of a bug fix. Split guest and real user plus unwrap errors. Okay, I need to run npm install, and then I can run that commit again. Ugh. Okay, well, as you can tell from my energy level, it is well past time for me to take a break. I am going to check up on some Twitter messages real quick while this is doing its thing. None. No Twitter messages. What a lonely day. A good day. Oh, okay, that's important. Checking out some emails. Okay, I'll get back to this now that this is finished. My code's compiling. Don't you know? Alright, so what is this? Git branch, git push, -u, origin, outside forms. I guess I could have reused the security branch because it's the same thing as bug fixes to security stuff. Okay, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a pull request just as a record of what went on here so that if I need to discuss it, I can. Okay, needs unlisted. Let's see. Basically, the thing I'm doing here is stop conflating unlisted /star with user star and account star. Maybe deconflating. There we go. That's my pull request message. Let's see, and I'm just going to go ahead and git checkout master, git rebase outside forms, whoops, git stash, git rebase outside forms, git push, git checkout outside forms, git rebase master, even though nothing's changed, git stash pop. Okay. I'm going to check this one email. All right, so I'm going to sign off then. If you like what you like, you get more of what you like. If you want to subscribe, download doobly-doo, hit the bell for personalized notifications if you only want the code stuff and not game stuff or other nerdery. Thanks for tuning in and helping me get my work done. Believe it or not, the live streaming thing really helps me be more effective. I know it seems like I go on a lot of tangents and I take time explaining things, but they're relevant tangents when I'm on camera, and the explaining things helps me discover problems and errors, and so that's actually really good. So really, really slow moving on this code today. Did not get a lot accomplished. I mean, if you see some of the other stuff I do, you can see that a lot of times I can be pretty snappy and can move through and can get features. You know, when it comes to bug fixes, sometimes a simple thing takes an hour or two or four. Minor feature implementation, especially when it's working in, it's a lot easier to work in greenfield code that I'm creating than it is to work in code that other people have created, especially because generally speaking, people don't have good code style. And again, that's not to nag on them, it's nag on our leaders in the code community who are imbeciles. They get up in their conference talks and they talk fancy and they teach stupid things. Except for the people at the Go conferences. They typically teach really smart things. God bless them. But at our JavaScript conferences, our leaders are our oppressors. Anyway, that's maybe enough negativity for now. You have a good one. Have the best evening ever. Adios. And I'm just going to go straight to